The story of Jack and the Beanstalk was meant to teach you about capitalism and 9/11. Capitalism because the bean counters are counting the money. The magic bean is interest with a high percentage rate. I give you $5 on Monday, magically you owe me 10 on Friday. God's time passes by, you pay me back in those green In God We Trust bills. So we're all on the beanstalk. Either you're a beanstalk or you got Jack. Because Jack is going to climb the beanstalk and steal the coins, the hen, and the heart from the giant that says, "Fee, fi, fo, fum, I smell the blood of an Englishman." Now the government, the bankers, the CEOs, the credit card companies, collecting all the interest, they say high fees for the financing. And when you owe money, they're not your friend, they're your foe. So they have everything the giant has. Giant incomes, giant homes on the hill, the coins that the giant's counting every day, a large checking account, a large savings account, a hen that lays golden eggs, a trust fund, and a pension plan with goose egg zeros in those accounts. And a harp is a luxury item playing classical music as you make money hand over fist in America. It's glorious to be rich and it sucks to be poor. The disparity is like a giant living in the sky and no poor people living on the planet. And we've definitely given away our cow. Every time we buy a gallon of milk from the corner store, by default, the American dream doesn't have a cow in the backyard. Nobody walking up and down Commonwealth Avenue with Betsy the cow. So yes, they tell this story to the children when they're young, so when they get in the workforce, they'll go into debt and finance everything to hold up the capitalist system. The more controversial parallel that I make is to say that 9/11 is a story of Jack and the Beanstalk, a 20-year story of American foreign policy dealing with Muslims, the last 20 years of the 20th century, from 1980 to September 11, 2001, with Osama bin Laden as the jack in the box of this surprise attack on America on your television screens. He was born in Saudi Arabia, a cash cow, to a very rich family, but also a holy cow. The way that the cow is reverenced in religion, Muslims, Christians, Jews, Hindus, all know the sacredness of the milk-giving cow. Muslims read the Holy Quran, which has 114 chapters in it. The second chapter is entitled Al-Baqarah, the cow, and it's the largest chapter in the whole Quran. So every Muslim, rich or poor, young or old, by way of their holy book, they have a cow, just like a Christian has Genesis and Revelations. So I believe young Osama bin Laden traded his cow in Afghanistan in the 80s, the fight against communist Russia, with America supplying the beans. Camouflage jackets, full metal jacket clips, Stinger missiles, surplus supplies. You have to ask old man Reagan's Pentagon for the receipts. So the five-sided building's resources definitely given to Muslim Mujahideen fighters in the 80s. In 1989, these group of ragtag warriors kicked Russia out of Afghanistan. The swap was complete. The Berlin Wall came down. It was the end of the Cold War. 2 years later, 1991, was the Gulf War, the mother of all wars. According to Saddam Hussein, Osama bin Laden is back at home with his mother in his motherland. She takes his newly acquired camouflage beans and throws them right out the window by allowing American forces to build bases in Saudi Arabia, take off jets to fight against the neighbor Iraq. So just like Jack was upset to see his beans thrown out the window, so was Osama bin Laden upset to see these American forces right outside the kingdom. So what happens in the story of Jack and the Beanstalk? The next day, Jack finds a beanstalk going all the way to the clouds. Well, 2 years later, 1993, there's a bombing at the most jacked up real estate prices in the world. The World Trade Center basement bombing. I say like a plant shook from the bottom all the way to the top because the communications tower on top of the building shut off for 8 hours that day from a basement bomb. Jack is at the bottom of the beanstalk, foreshadowing a plan 8 years later, September 11th, 2001, a plan involving hijackers out of Boston, Massachusetts, Beantown, Boston baked beans. They show you Muhammad Atta going through security at Logan Airport. That's the head hijacker. He goes in the sky, hijacks United and American planes. These are the coins that the giant America counts above the sky every day. A screen with blips representing planes at the Air Traffic Control Center. How many did Jack have that morning? We're told 4. Headed west towards Los Angeles, hijack with jackknife box cutters. Headed towards Lower Manhattan, where they definitely hit the jackpot. Fee, fi, fo, fum, I smell the blood of an Englishman. In New York City, New Jack City, feel the fumes of the fires. Everybody remembers that morning when the Twin Towers looked like 2 burning cigarettes. The restaurant on top of the World Trade Center sold golden Cornish hens on the menu. But people jumped out the buildings like birds that can't fly and crack like eggs on the ground. But these are the political golden eggs. Give their families millions of dollars immediately. We'll build another tower in their memory. We'll read their names off every anniversary of September 11th. So, 50,000 people die in the highways and roads in America. Are those the golden eggs? What about the Katrina victims, earthquake victims, tsunami victims, war victims, flood victims, the victims of the war on terror? We have made the victims of September 11th politically golden. The last thing that comes down in the story of Jack and the Beanstalk is the harp. When Jack takes the harp, the giant comes down and Jack chops down the beanstalk, killing the giant. Well, the communications tower on top of the building communicates with waves of propaganda, CNN, NBC, Fox News, and the way we've seen them fall. All the way down to ground zero. You look at the island of Manhattan, it looks like a cloud. The castle of New York is still there. Where did those giant buildings go? I repeat, where did those giant buildings go? You read the papers, you watch the news, hours later, they have a story for you. Hijackers and Osama bin Laden and Al-Qaeda. We are now living in the post 9/11 world.